You guys aware of the cameras? Are you feeling conscious of the cameras by any chance? Because they can't see you. They're for me. If you're like, oh, I won't laugh too much at this joke, they're for me. You think I did this for you? This is for the cameras. Are there people here who go to therapy? Anyone? You can raise your hands because I can see some of you. Yes? Okay, not bad, not bad. What about the rest of you? आप सब रात को रो के सो जाते हो? It's free. Therapy is quite expensive, right? Yeah, it's just more economical to be sad. Can't be sad and poor. No, you have to choose. I can afford therapy now, and my friends still can't, okay, because they're poor. So I keep telling them how great therapy is, and they feel really bad. So they're always just like, can you ask our question also? So now I go to therapy for a whole group. Yeah, there's 20 of us. मैं सबका सवाल लेके जाती हूँ, but the thing is, I can't tell my therapist that I'm asking somebody else's question, so I pretend like they're all mine. Yeah. First, I ask my questions, of course. My questions are very basic, you know. They're questions like, why am I sad? Why am I anxious? Why are my friends so poor? Then I'll be like, listen, hypothetically, if I had a porn addiction, what would you say I should do? And my therapist is like, you don't have to say hypothetically, this is a safe space. I was like, okay, I have a porn addiction. My therapist was very serious about having a porn addiction, okay? In case anyone has here, I won't ask you to raise your hands for this. She's letting you know, she said, it's graphic, it's unrealistic, it's bad for you. She said, instead you have to use your imagination. You have to spend alone time with yourself. You have to touch yourself. I was like, वो सब तो ठीक है, but अब ये मुझे वरुण को बताना पड़ेगा. I went to Varun, I was like, she said touch yourself. But not right now. Another friend of mine, her question is that she's been in a relationship for 10 years now, okay? Long time, right? And so she's no longer interested in sex. And she wanted me to ask my therapist, why? So I went to my therapist. I asked her my questions. Why am I sad? Why am I anxious? Why am I friends with Varun? Then I was like, listen, by the way, I'm not interested in sex anymore. She was like, what, you? Start watching porn again. I know my friend, and I was like, she said you need to start speaking to Varun. You might want to borrow his hard drive. He has some classics in there. They're classics. Another friend of mine, her question was, and before I tell you the question, I just want you to know I'm not judging her lifestyle choices. It's just her question I have to ask, okay? She has slept with everyone she knows. And she wants me to ask my therapist, why? So I went to my therapist. And I was like, I have slept with everyone. She's like, you have multiple personality disorder. It's the only thing that explains this. It's pretty great going to therapy though. Therapists always blame everything on your childhood, and that's my favorite part. Yeah, because that means it's all your parents' fault. Right? You're free now. I've decided when I have children though, I'll send them to therapy immediately. आज इशू हुआ कल सॉल्व हो गया. से 20 साल बाद स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी नहीं कर रहे बेसमेंट में. It's just better, you know. I have a niece. She's 4 years old, my sister's daughter. So I told my sister we should start sending her to therapy now. My sister agreed. We have the same parents. She was like, done. But my niece was coming back from therapy sessions and she was saying things like, Mama, I'm so happy, I love you, I have nothing to say in therapy. Aww. So we start beating her. Now she goes twice a week. It's value for money. Sometimes when she doesn't have her own question, I send her with my friend's questions. She's like, I'm addicted to porn. I was just like, this family's full of perverts. genetic issue. It's nice though, it's good to go to therapy. A lot of people go to therapy, clearly. I go to therapy, you guys go to therapy, my therapist goes to therapy. My therapist also goes to therapy, yeah. But my therapist, she does drugs. Everyone has some way of coping. I don't judge, it's fine. Comedy audience usually does not go to therapy, right? Because who else would show up at 7 p.m. on a Sunday? But sit here, everybody with their arms crossed, and just be like, हंसा दो हमें. Help us, कल Monday है. Please. So you just want to do something with your Sunday? Yeah, it's comedy audience. It's great. I'm glad you guys don't go to therapy and I get to have a career. I appreciate it. No, but I learned a lot from therapy. I really did. But I also have formal education. I have a BA in psychology and wow, no matter how long you wait, no one ever applauds that. No, it's totally fine. No, now it's condescending. I don't want it now. It's fine. I know it's not impressive because I'm in Bangalore and you're all probably engineers and doctors, right? Are you engineers, sir? You're a doctor! Of course you are. Yeah, I get it. You guys are really nice though. You're still smiling at me. I really appreciate it. Because I was doing the show in Mumbai and there were only 5 people there. And it was going very badly. And while leaving, there was an uncle in the audience and he said to me, you should study further. It still comes back to me. Sometimes when the joke doesn't work, I can hear him whispering in the background. Study further. I'm looking into it. I actually did want to study further. Yeah, I wanted to be a doctor. Yes, because those were the 2 options when you're younger. Your parents are like, be doctor, be engineer. They said the same thing. I was like, I'll be doctor. But I realized I can't be a doctor because I am dumb. Yeah, I'm very dumb. And you really want a dumb doctor? No, because people die, right? It's really high stakes. So I was like, okay, I can't do this. So then I saw on Indian television, 8th standard, I saw that I could be a psychiatrist. Yes, because they would show then on TV that they are doctors for crazy people. पागलों के डॉक्टर है वो. And I was like, ये तो मैं कर सकती हूँ. Because if you're a real doctor, people die. It's very high stakes, But if you're a pagal doctor, what's the worst that can happen, Somebody's like, you're a bad doctor. You are like, you are pagal. Who's gonna believe you? It's like, this I can do. But then I went to study it. First day, first lecture, my professor said, you can't call them that. That was my main reason. But then I started reading about the different mental health diseases and I was like, yes, I was wrong. We should not call them that. I also have this. Oh my God, my dad has this one. Oh my God, my nanny. Her photo was there. She's the example. I was like, okay, I should not call them that. Of course, I studied psychology, I did my BA, and I was not smart enough to be a psychiatrist either, so no offense to them also. So now I do this. But because I started studying psychology, I realized I need therapy. That's how slow I am. The reason it didn't work out, I also took a couple of tries to find the right therapist, and the reason it didn't work out with my first therapist is completely my fault. It's because I went to a man to talk about my feelings. You're not convinced? I went to an Indian man, a 60-year-old Indian man, to talk about my feelings. It was not a good idea. In general, I think men do have a hard time talking about their feelings, especially to each other. Like, they never express, they just grab the nearest girl. They're like, मुझे कुछ feel हो रहा है. Like, भैया मुझे बस बैंड्रा जाना था. not just that he was a man, okay? I don't want to alienate the boys. It's also that he was much older, right? So I was 21 back then, and he was 60, so there was a huge age gap. He was an uncle. No, but I don't mean uncle rudely. I mean, like, I love uncles. It's not sexual. No, it's not. I'm not ageist, so it's not like, you, uncle. But it's also not like, ooh, uncle. It's neutral. It's normal, uncle. And back then, when I was 21, my main issue was that I did not trust men. So I went and told him that. I said, I don't trust men, especially in relationships. And he said, you shouldn't. I was like, I have a boyfriend. He was like, very bad. I think he's gonna cheat on me. He was like, he will. I was like, why will you say that? And he said, because men have needs. Yeah. So I started crying. I was like, uncle, please. Uncle, stop. Yeah, I realized that was not a good idea. So I looked for another therapist. And I really like this one, like when I found her. Because when I told her I don't trust men, she said, why stop there? Don't trust women also. I was like, that is solid advice. Yeah, I have a few issues. I'll tell you about them. You're stuck in this basement. Where will you go? One of my issues is that I genuinely have a very hard time criticizing people, especially family and friends, you know. It's very hard for me to give them negative feedback. And I told my therapist this, and she said that the reason I have a hard time criticizing them is not because I'm a nice person or like I'm too sweet. Yeah, she said it's because you don't want to hear anything bad about yourself. I was like, bitch, I've been nothing but nice to you. Why would you say that to me? Then I started crying. I love crying. I cry all the time, dude. I love crying so much. I was crying backstage. That's backstage. I was crying on my way here. I'll cry on stage if you guys don't laugh. Why did you stop? I love crying. It's so fun. I cry on flights. Babies complain about me on a flight. Why is she crying? I cry so much. Anyone I've ever dated has given me the same feedback. They're all like, Uruj, it's very hard to argue with you because tu rone lag jati hai. I was like, it's working. Yahi to trick hai. If I may ask the front row. Sir, when was the last time you cried? Don't remember. Okay, if you had to narrow it down, maybe in units. Is it like days, weeks, years, months? Year? A year. A full year? Wow, okay. He doesn't cry, yeah. Doesn't laugh also that much. He's like, and then I look at him, he's like, it's not bad. I appreciate the effort. Sir, what about you? When was the last time you cried? 2 years back. Wow. Okay, did something happen? Is that... It was just at the airport. It was at the airport. Were you saying goodbye to someone? A lover? You were the one traveling. How selfish. No, it counts. 2 years ago. 1 year ago. I found the pattern wherever I go. I ask questions, men and women. Men always have like more gaps in between crying. It's something we know. It's not something new. I'm saying you all know that men obviously are not crying as much. This is still impressive because usually I get answers like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when I was born. Bad because I think it's our fault that boys don't feel comfortable to cry. Like as a society, we don't make it a conducive environment for them to cry. So then, you know, they don't cry and it has like side effects for everybody. You know, like a lot more men have heart attacks, you know, because they suppress their feelings. A lot more men become alcoholics, you know. That's how they express. A lot more men are serial killers. I looked this up. Yeah, there's not enough female serial killers. We're really underrepresented. And I think that's what the next wave of feminism should be about. Just more female serial killers. think that the worst thing that happens that when like men aren't allowed to cry, and boys, I really do feel bad about this one. Is that they start podcasts. Every time I open Instagram, there's just two boys with a microphone going like, how to be an alpha male. Just cry, baby boy. Just cry. Just have one cry, they'll feel better. Crying too much is also not good. Yeah, that's what I do. Oh man. Yeah, crying too much also not good. Because I cry so much, I've never won an argument. What do you need to win an argument? Logic, points, presence of mind. What do I bring to the table? Please. Never won. So I went to my therapist and I was like, can you teach me how to win? And she was like, Uruj, you don't win arguments. It's all about arriving at a solution together mutually. So I was like, paise wapas kar do. But she gave me one tip, okay? She said, if you find yourself in an argument, use the I language instead of the you language. Yeah, you can use this. It's when you say things like, I feel, I believe, I go. Don't say things like, you suck. It's like, makes sense, right? I shouldn't say things like, you're a bitch. I should say, I think you're a bitch. She's like, you're being stupid. I was like, no, I think. अभी सिखाया आपने. I've replaced you with I everywhere. Thank you is thank I. Fuck you also fuck I. Very confusing when you're arguing because somebody is like fuck you and you're like fuck I. They're like yeah मैं भी यही बोल रहा था. Okay, argument over. Uruj is I Uruj now. I've been quite thorough. I've changed everything.